Hey guys, it's Katie, and I'm here today to do a review and a discussion about The Confidence Code by Katty K and Claire Shipman. This was a really interesting book, and it's kind of one I have a lot of interesting thoughts and things that I want to talk about. So basically what this book is about is it's about women. It focuses on why women are not confident and both from a scientific standpoint and from a societal standpoint. And it kind of seeks a way to give us some advice as to how to go about being confident or how to help younger women become confident. So it's all about confidence in women. And it's, as I said, it's really interesting, and it's something that I really think we should talk about more because you see it everywhere. Confidence is such a struggle for women in a lot of different areas. And what I like about this book is it gives you statistics and background as to some studies that were done to show kind of that basically it's not fiction and that we are just generally this way. But it also talks about it from a life standpoint and how certain situations were been put in or how we were brought up and raised or different societal norms that are put upon us or different stigmas that are out there affect us and our mindset, which is actually brings me to another point. Remember how last month and for school I had to read the book called Mindset by Carol Estweck? And I wasn't a huge fan of it. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. Well, that book shows up a lot in here. They talk a lot about the growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And so, and how that plays into confidence. And so, that was really interesting. This book gives you a little bit of insight as to how we can make younger girls more confident. They seem to be a very big proponent of kind of the let them make mistakes and fail fast and just kind of throw them in and let them fail. Because the more exposure you have to things like that, the more confident you are going to be. But from my own experiences, and this is kind of where I start to take a little bit of a turn from this book, I am confident in certain circumstances. Like you throw me in an airport or you tell me to go travel by myself, I will be absolutely 100% fine. When it comes to academics like test taking or sometimes even participating in class, taking notes, things like that, I am less confident. I have, in a lot of ways, I have a bit of a lower confidence level in academic settings. A lot of it may stock up to the fact that I have a learning disability, but I've learned over the years because that does not define me. And that's one thing I liked about sections of this book is they talked about getting rid of stigma surrounding certain areas. Like, for instance, an example they used in the book a lot was the stigma that women are bad at math but great at writing, whereas men are good at math and terrible at writing. And while that stigma and that idea has just constantly been driven into our heads, and because of that, we tend to believe it. And really, it's not a good idea for us to hear kinds of things like that because then it just screws with our mindset. And then we'll constantly either be joking about it or we'll start believing it. And that kind of goes towards kind of ties in with the mindset book as well. It gives us a fixed mindset about doing math and our abilities to do certain things because it's been constantly just driven into our heads that in a certain way we can't do certain things. And another thing that I really liked was in the back at the end, they started to give out some different like things to help get around different issues and things. Like a big thing was to, make smaller steps to achieving a goal. So the exposure method is one that they use. Now I don't agree with the exposure method for everything, but in some cases I really think it can help. Another thing that I take issue with is, parenting, telling parents how to kind of raise their children in certain ways. I mean, every child is going to be different. And depending on the child that you have, you're probably going to have a different method. But it's really kind of cool to read this book because it ties in with a lot of things that I've been doing over the last couple of months. Like they really are really big on, as I said, like the mindset book, but also just the idea of mindfulness and meditation, getting really good sleep if you can, which is not something that I'm very good at. And just like things like that, that just go towards more of a well being kind of situation. Now, another thing that they did is they both got their DNA tested through two different outfits, 23andMe and Geomind, and they were testing them for their genes for certain afflictments, such as, depression, anxiety, their oxytocin levels, and things like that. And all of those different chemicals or different gene strands that they were being tested for told them how prone, kind of led to a conclusion about how prone they were to being confident or not, or being a worrier or a warrior kind of thing. And that was really interesting. But it can also be really dangerous if used improperly. For instance, if you were to test your kid and then they found out that they were more prone to certain diseases or to think a certain way, it could really mess with them. So, I mean, they even talked a little bit about the dangers of it in the book. They were talking about how they're glad that they waited until they were older because they realized after the initial shock of some of the results that they got was that these things do not define them. They don't define who they are as a person. But yeah, I really enjoyed the message of this book, and I think it's something that more people should be aware of and read. Honestly, I'd read it whether you're male, female, whatever, because it's important to understand that these things exist. Because I know that it can go, especially in workplaces, it can go towards an inherent bias of some kind. There's a lot of inequality still between men and women, especially when it comes to pay and whether or not you get a promotion, no matter how long you've been there. Men still have a leg up over women. And I think that by making more people aware of this and starting to practice and become more aware of it and follow some of the steps in the book or other books, but I think it's something that I think is really important, especially for people to start reading. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for today. Let me know your thoughts if you read this or if you have any thoughts about this area, because I'd be really interested to start a dialogue and talk to people about it, because I think it's something that could be really interesting and important to talk about with you guys. So yeah, as always, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media. I have a Twitter and a Goodreads, which are both linked below. And I will come back with another video for you guys again soon. Okay, bye.